Welcome or welcome back to the Light Renegades. My name is Starr. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. To those that might be new, we are the Light Renegades. We are a collective of Pleiadian beings bringing you information from the stratospheres that are ever expanding. We are disclosing cosmic secrets and hopefully bringing forward information that's going to help you stand ever more in your sovereignty and in your power. That being said, if you are here for the first time, please go easy, please go well. This is our second channeling from Mr. C, who is a being of I want to say vampiric nature, but they are so much more than that. I've been incredibly grateful for this being to step forward. Partly, I think, selfishly because I've always had a massive curiosity in vampires somewhere, but also after this channeling, I realized that this was always something that I was going to be partaking in. This has always been part of my journey, and I really feel like I've been struggling to hold that as truth somewhere, because I know there is not a lot of spaces out there right now that are getting to, I guess, the darkest of dark, like we seem to be over here on the Light Renegades. And I want to say that I've had to make a consistent choice to continue to step forward into the light the entirety of this time. There has been many situations and things that have stepped forward to try and keep me off of my path, to try and get me into spaces that are not here for my highest good, not here for the highest good of all. You know, I've been offered contracts left, right, and center to be in a position of more power, in a position of, I guess, wealth and abundance somewhere too, but I knew that that was going to come at a price. So I continue to say no. I continue to walk this path, you know, I guess, of as much of the straight and narrow as I can. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that, you know, my soul is in a space to be able to make such decisions, because I know in the past that that hasn't been the case. I know in the past I've been very dark expressions. I know in the past that I have said yes to things that were going to hurt other people, and that has been my truth too. So I'm grateful that I get to be here now, in the light as much as I am, but also delving into the steps of darkness to help others to perhaps make better choices for themselves, lighter choices for themselves and for those around them. And please know that if you are in a space that just feels incredibly dense and you don't know which way to turn, please do step forward, and we are here to support you no matter where you find yourself in your expression. And please know that we do not consider ourselves to be I don't know, wholly pure in any sort of way. My life has definitely not been been a life of that. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I get to be in this position. But please know that the light doesn't seek those that are here to play it safe. The light seeks those that are daring to step forward and to make mistakes and to be messy when it's called for and to cause chaos when it's called for. That's definitely something that's been brought to my attention of late, that there is no one right way to walk this path, and sometimes the path doesn't look how you thought that it was going to, and sometimes you have to do things that you never thought that you would say yes to, and sometimes you have to burn some bridges that you never thought that you would. So please have that in mind. I feel like some of you are going through some expressions right now that might be pretty heavy to decide and to navigate and fathom right now. But wherever you are, you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and don't hang your head in shame if there are things that you have done that you are not proud of. You know, you were there to learn that lesson, and now you've decided to make that change, so you should be holding your head high and in light. And please know that we are here to support you in any way. But I was going to try and channel this being for you all, but they said that they needed more time before that was going to be the case. And I realize now that I'm finding it difficult to be back in the space of channeling some aspects within the Light Renegades, because my vibration is completely shifted. So some aspects of me doesn't align with these deeper, darker expressions. And this being is definitely still on the process of trying to raise their vibration. This is something that they go into in this channeling, which I was incredibly grateful for. It's been a really eye-opening channeling and experience with them over the past couple of days, past few weeks as a whole. And I'm going to wait until the end before I share. I'm going to share the channeling, I'm going to share something with you after. But this channeling from a couple of nights ago from the Charming Man was titled The Beginning, and they started with, I thought it important to share my story of how I came to be, so that you could all perhaps understand all that is happening within your world right now. Once I was a being that knew only how to kill, that knew only how to survive. Anything outside of our kind was considered minuscule or a threat to our species, depending how high you are up in the ladder of expression. I want to say each species that lives in your world with consciousness exists very much like you. Once you become aware, you begin to place rank on each other. It's a design fault where we find ourselves now in evolution. Our kind did not know how to compromise, nor do we assign to the hell which you consider the all evil. Well, most of us anyway. This is a story for another day. We consider ourselves immortal. That was until one of us was killed. Then that drew more of our kind to seek us out. Not the same, but similar. There are clans, there are tribes, all of us have our own signature, style of killing, or way that we look, much like many of your species. We do not gather outside of our own clan. Often the urge to fight and gain power is far too strong for many of us. You must understand, for many years we did not know that anything else existed outside of us. Not all of our kind, but mine. We lived underground mostly, and that wasn't something we did not enjoy. We weren't built for the upper realms, the light too strong, and not because this would burn us to death, but actually leave us blind. We see better in the dark, and our skin isn't built for the sun, or at least it wasn't at first. Our kind has evolved alongside yours. I come from the outskirts of Bolivia, and I am proud to say so. There are many of us still in existence. However, we do not wish to live in the ways that we have been. We have been taught the truths of this world, and we understand that it's what is necessary in order to progress. We understand unity consciousness, and we are doing all that we can to make those changes. The mind-melting part, which you all must understand, is that I did not grow like all of you did. I did not grow from what you would consider a child into an adult. One day, I simply just was, and I discovered more of my kind that already existed. That is at least how it felt to me. That is what I remember. As I expressed in my previous time together, timelines were created so that this time now could exist. I'm told we are evolutionary aspects of all that is possible. We were created from a splicing of DNA forms. We have rodent-like senses. We have lion-like instincts. Yet we are as agile as a cat and as soft as... and I'm not entirely sure what to state here, but we are soft, or at least learning to be, and understand what that means. We were simple in our emotional upset. We knew the basics of survival instincts. We felt a connection to our kind and had the ability to know the difference of one another. We understood how to perceive threat, fight, protect, yet we did not know love. This is something that the others have been teaching us. As I stated, this soul here came to meet us where we were, and it was a good many years until after we understood what humans were, and we started to get a grasp on the upper layer. It was the upper layer to us as we lived underground in tunnels and cave systems. They still exist. You can research them if you like. I must confess, our first encounter with this dear one, she will now put the pieces together. Understand how she found our clan in the first place. She was given a vision, and this was a reminder of us a couple of years ago. With no explanation, she was an archaeologist who came to feed, and we came to feed off of her people. Needless to say, she did not survive this first interaction, yet she came back after a few years, and after that life was finalized, and she returned to explain whom she was and that we could, in fact, help each other. What we hadn't realized was that the fight we had going on was much larger than we first anticipated. We were not aware that a war of worlds was happening, so to speak. Bear with me. We just thought that a secondary clan, multiple, just wanted us dead. They actually wanted to kill us as they saw us as a threat. They knew that we would kneel and decide to become part of the play for peace. So they came to pick us off one by one. They knew that we had great strength, and this would be something that would work against them. Their mind control tactics do not work on us either, and by now I'm sure you're aware that they're talking of the negative reptilian order, which is something that we weren't aware of until we were given the full brief. Please note that this is a number of years between killing this soul to meeting again. We had to evolve naturally as a species. I'm incredibly old, yet at the same time, I'm much more connected to the ecosystem of Mother Earth. Therefore, I'm as old as she presents, if that makes sense. I can regenerate. I come back into full power as long as I have consumed some form of physical matter, something meaty, like bugs, animals, or human flesh. Please note here that I am simplifying as much as possible to explain all of this to you. This is beyond your sphere of understanding, well, some right now at least. So hear the difference between the vampires in the movies and what we tell you here. It's important to note that our kind can also be created by parasite and disease. This is in fact how some of the tactics of other realms work, especially that which you might consider hell. So there is much to get you up to speed on, and unfortunately this is coming at the forefront now, as this will be a tactic for them moving forward. More creatures, more monsters, more fear. This is not the first time you have been told of such inclinations. I trust that you all know by now that you have nothing to fear, for acknowledgement and willingness to understand. You hold the ultimate power. This means you are immune and already free. I think this perhaps enough for today. I would like to speak to some out there that may be able to understand me. And Mr. C wanted me to speak in their, I guess, energetic frequency right now for what some might be able to understand. So please do skip through this part if this is not something that you want to be partaking in. I feel like some of the collective will not want to, and I completely understand that. And please respect your boundaries at this time. But I'm going to channel some language from them, and hopefully this is going to reach those that will be able to understand, as I know that there are many out there that listen, that watch, not just in terms of a screen, but out in the galaxies, far and wide, in the inner earth as well, those that are aware. So I think this is a plea, and a play for peace through this being to some out there. So please give me a moment, and I'm going to channel what they wish for them to bring forward.
Nakro tuki na kieshe inaya. Teke ukore na kole. Tarashokuye ke na uye na yata. Sheki ine kia na tukule. Tarasha ndo tu moruto. Tia ma ia na karata. Sheki inde iki rototunu kuye te karata kia ni yana. Shela ia rotunu toropo kuye na ya kakaya ya. Shono ureke tana ia tukuru totunu. Tia shamurie. Kia na ala kia te tia na turu kutuye se kandayete. Tana tauye, tara shakule ne ya na tia te kia ta tunu no ishe maete. Talo uyana, te ia tachi, te ia sho udu tu kundu tu wema. Pere te ana, te ia tau tunu ku, te leise ata. Ti ando kule te ata kana, te le kia na nori e ke se inde utu no muri e te ata. Tono wiamara, se ki ando ule, Tana ia ke tara shakulene tia te kiata. Tana tia tatusho undo kue. Te la kule e katara shakiana aya shakia te tiamo tutu. Tara kule no nuye. Nana ia ke ia ta shunu. Tu yeshe. Tara ia tato. Tara undo kue te ana ia te kiata. Tushu undo. Bare ke te ata. Nde kia te yeshe inde. Tundu ku. Turu tungu todo ye te amaya ya. Tereshe indayeke turunodu tarapaya.
I step forward to you all now so that you can prepare and remind others of their sovereignty and ultimate power. For those refusing to surrender, those refusing to stand in the light, this is the final call. Your paradigms are collapsing. There is nowhere for you to hide. We accept you, and we wish to help you move forward in the new age. But I'll be back with more, Mr. C. And I hope that this channeling has been received somewhere in a state of grace for this being, because I think that there is going to be many out there that are just going to want to see these beings as pure evil, and I completely understand that notion. It's never a standpoint that I've taken, but I think I hold complete biasness, considering that I was one of these beings for many, many years, and that was by design. And I do remember this vision. I think I've spoken about it before on this channel, before I knew I was going to be bringing forward the charming man, Mr. C, a vampiric essence of creature of sorts, being of sorts, fragment of all that is possible of sorts. And I was in a tunnel, a cave that led into a tunnel, and I was looking at something on a wall when all of a sudden, I had beings, comrades in front of me that were started to scream, and then this thing just absolutely bolted out of the dark and took hold of someone in front of me. I then tried to run and leave, I stood there for a couple of seconds absolutely stunned. I think the archaeologist in me was also very enamored for a different type of being stepping forward too, and I stood there and I was stunned, and then I tried to run, and this thing took hold of me too. And I remember that feeling when I had this vision. It was so real and so graphic, and it was a time when there was nothing else going on around me that was dark in that expression. I feel like this was at a time when I was still told that I wasn't even going to be looking at the negative reptilian order. So this vision came completely out of left field, and I thought, I have no idea what this means. I wasn't given any preface of what this means, and now it's coming full circle as to why this was happening. And I found it also very interesting that this being came from Bolivia, because when I stepped forward to go and visit Shauna L. Francis, I saw a bat when I landed in the Mexican airport, and I thought, that's a real strange expression to be here. And another bat was seen on our expression too of that time together, and I just thought the synchronicities aren't lost on me in this expression. So please hold that in your heart, which to be your truth. And this is merely an expression of what is my truth in my space and my reality. So know that if this doesn't align for you, thank you for witnessing. This isn't your space, and you don't have to be partaking in the space if this doesn't align for you. And I think for so many it might not. It might just be such a trigger in your spaces. So please be aware of that too. If you're consuming something, you just think, this is completely left field for me, it doesn't feel right for me, please do pause and really acknowledge if this is something that you want to be partaking in. But I'm incredibly grateful for Mrs. C stepping forward, and I wanted to share what they look like to me. And I couldn't remember if I did this in the first channeling, but I think I shared it, and then I decided to not say that in the first expression. But they step forward as a being that they don't have any wings. For starters, they don't have any wings like a bat or anything like that. But they first step forward as very, very attractive men, and then upon deciding to channel with them, they then showed them full self to me of what they actually look like. And these beings lived underground, and I was being shown the image of a mole when I started to have this channeling for you all. And I thought, moles are really really beautiful creatures, but they do look quite strange. And I thought, this is another expression of all that is possible. And this being has very, I don't even know what to call it, type of skin, because it's got a color to it. It's almost creamy yellow in its expression. They do have long hands and fingers. They do have long feet too. And they do have a very, very pointy nose and a lot of very sharp teeth. And they do have eyes that are very sunken into their head, and they are as black as the night. But no expression of me feels fearful of their energy. I think to witness them is alarming, and I've exclaimed that to them as so, and they understand that expression. And when I first channeled them, I did have to sit back to back with them to be able to receive them, but now I can receive them face on and commune with this being and speak with this being, and that be something that I have no fear in anymore, because I do trust that energy, I do trust that essence. So do whatever feels right to you in this space. I knew that this was going to be a curveball in some understandings, but I'm just having to trust that everything is coming full circle for our expression. And I was told a while ago when I started to partake in the Darkness series that it was with purpose. I had to go to those depths for purpose, and this was because there was going to be brought a lot of information from the dark that was being brought into our vicinity. And I think we are in the first leg of all of that being true. And there were some incidences that happened in 2023 regarding demonic energy that was out there for the masses, and I'm slowly but surely starting to see where more and more is stepping forward of that kind of ilk of expression, but in very subtle ways, and some in some not very subtle ways that is getting completely lost out there. And I think that's something that I'll perhaps share a little bit more on, things that I've been witnessing and seeing, because I just thought, okay, I understand exactly why I'm here right now, and I'm starting to see the pockets of understanding that are making themselves even more aware to me, so that I know that I'm in the exact spot that I'm supposed to be right now with regards to my own ascension process too. But thank you for witnessing. Please go easy, please go well. I've been told that we shouldn't be calling in energies like this at this time, specifically because we are still quite infant in our expression with communing with such energies, and they are still learning in their spaces too. So this is going to be a collaboration of sorts with many beings out there, I think, to come with regards to this expression. So I'm grateful to be in this position. I'm grateful for you all witnessing, and yeah, thank you for being here is what I want to share. But that's all from today, from myself and Mr. C. We'll be back real soon. Take care.